Welcome to Tuff Trax, everyone. I'm Scott Douglas here with the superstars of monster truck racing on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. John Moore's no problem, just one of the top competitors doing battle today at the Kalamazoo County Fairgrounds in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Here's my colleague Army Armstrong to set up today's matchups.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Kalamazoo, Michigan. As last week's winner, Rod Litsall, proves doing it the hard way does pay off. Rod, last week it looked like you laid it all on the table out there.
Yeah, we did. You know, we're coming back. We're going to come back hard. You know, we're rated #1 truck. I'm the only truck that's probably taken 4 in a row. I take 4 races in a row. I'm the top qualifier out here. I'm coming back. You know, it was a hard one coming back that way, but I'm coming back again this week, so I got it all back together.
Rod, I'm going to be real blunt with you. If you feel like you have the best truck on this tour, why are you currently sitting #3 in these national points chase?
Well, the only reason I'm sitting there is because we did have a bad crash and it put me back some races, but that's only temporary. I'm coming back, and all I got to do is take a couple more races. I'm right up on top again.
Let's talk about some of these guys you got to come back and pass. We're going to talk about the Carolina Crusher and Equalizer. They are in a dogfight on top of this thing. Last week, the Equalizer, this rookie comes out and nails the national points lead, bumping the Carolina Crusher to the #2 spot. You're set #3. Gravedigger sitting back there like a rocket. He's ready to make a move at any time. Everybody is running within a second of each other. We're getting races that are determined by 0.02 of a second, Rod. You yourself know that. You've won and lost by that tight a race. The truck doesn't look that dominant if you look at a time sheet.
Oh, yeah, everybody is getting faster out there, but we still know we got the fastest truck out here. We're the strongest running truck. You know, Gravedigger, he's been braking so much, so I don't really worry about him. I get up against Equalizer and Carolina Crusher. Every match I've won most of them.
Well, we're going to be keeping an eye on you. Right now, let's jump over to Chris Chapman and see what else we're going to have on today's show.
Thanks, Army. Also in today's show, we'll be bringing you modified two-wheel drive truck pulling from the prestigious National Tractor Championship in Bowling Green, Ohio. It's slated to be the granddaddy of them all.
But, Chris, we're going to start it off at Kalamazoo, Michigan, the Kalamazoo County Fairgrounds. Our second week here on Tuff Trax, watching Kalamazoo play host to the superstars of monster truck racing. Army Armstrong, when you say superstars, and you talked to him just a moment ago, you've got to start here with the defending national champion, Rod Litsall. Rod Litsall in Freedom Hall a year ago on this race beat Bigfoot for the national championship.
Well, the national championship was the first ever in the monster truck competition, a brand new fast-growing motorsport. The first national champion was the Chevrolet USA 1 and Rod Litsall. That was last year.
You know, Rod Litsall flipping there to win the title, and that seemed to be kind of a sign of things to come, because in 1989, he has been in some of the most awesome flips and worst crashes here in Chicago into the wall.
Well, Scott, what happened in Chicago? The axle broke in the front of the truck, and the brakes won't work when the axles have gone away. Into the wall. He immediately gets together with his crew. They put the truck back together. Superficial damage, but look what happens on the very next run. He pulls up against Gary Porter. The same thing happened. He goes up, and there's a big concrete piece, and he goes right into it at the end of the track, impaling the truck, and it actually pinned Litsall in the truck for quite a while. The crews were working feverishly trying to get him out.
You know, it was a situation, obviously, where a great deal of concern with the crowd in Chicago and, of course, the officials, the other drivers. And, you know, these guys aren't exactly the greatest friends in the world. They battle every week trying to, you know, take each other's money and the bread off each other's plates. But here, everybody did have to get together. They tried. They were able to get Rod out. But, again, he had to be taken away and waved to the crowd. He was shaken up. His neck was stiff. They took him out and checked him over. It's amazing the amount of safety built into these trucks that Rod can go through some of the things he's gone through and things, you know, basically the truck's okay. He's able to keep coming back.
But a few minutes after the interview we had with him, the EMTs sat down, were talking to him in the other room, and they started knowing his eyes were a little bit foggy. They took him to the hospital for a checkup. It was a good move. We appreciate the EMTs doing that. He did come back and compete later, but safety first on the TNT circuit.
Here we go again. Rod showing you that he would come back and, again, not be afraid to put it on the edge. In Buffalo, he goes over, again, beating Bigfoot.
He definitely high-sided the truck, and that is new. The truck is flipping due to the speed. During the interview right after the accident, he said, Army, he said they're getting much quicker, much faster, much scarier.
We got a chance after this flip to ask him about his aggressive driving style.
Well, it's not nothing that you really want to say you know how to handle. It's, you go into every race not thinking it's going to happen. You want to come into every race confident, and you go out there, I put it on my mind, and I'm there just to win, you know. That's all I got on my mind is I'm going to get to the finish line first.
and at any cost sometimes it seems, because last week in Kalamazoo, right here on Tuff Trax, in the finals against David Morris's Equalizer, he would win, but at what cost? At the end of the race, keep your eyes on USA 1, Army.
Litsall, pull a shot. I want you to keep an eye on the rear wheels of the truck after the last jump. See if they even touch the cars. No, he completely cleared 12 cars, locked up the brakes, and once again, high-sides the truck.
After it was all over, Army asked Rod Litsall the pertinent question. Rod, are you getting accustomed to turning that truck upside down?
Oh, no. I don't ever want to think about flipping, but if it comes up, you know, they say I'm used to it, but everyone's a new one.
You know, Gravedigger has been one of the real tough luck stories of the year. As fast as any truck on the circuit, but he's been having problems. Last week, he beat USA 1, but broke it, couldn't go to the final. Here was his reaction to that.
Dennis Anderson, when this thing started tonight, you told us you were going after USA 1. You lined up next to him, and you got him. What's going through your mind right now?
Well, I was glad I could pull it off. I pulled to the line and didn't have second gear, so I had to bump it from low to third and just stay after it, you know, and I was going to nail him to the wall, and that's what I did. Done a little bit of damage to the truck, but who cares? I beat him.
Tell you guys look like a couple of kamikazes coming down there, each one trying to get to the other end the quickest. You know, what goes through your mind at a time like that? That's almost scary.
Well, it is. It's blood and guts out here, you know. We're for real. You know, we're here to win the points champion. We got big purse to win, and we got reputations to live up to, and we're going to live up to them.
But look what happens this week to Gravedigger in qualifying at Kalamazoo, Michigan. Army Armstrong, he lines up, the red lights are on, but they won't stay on long.
What happened was the engine fuel fouled on him, and he just had all kinds of problems. A tough break. Because, Scott, I would say this has to be probably the most popular monster truck in America right now. And you could feel the crowd. They were actually let down when Anderson couldn't make one of those awesome sky runs that he so normally makes.
But there are plenty of superstars ready to go. Here's Chris with the pairing.
Oh, it looks like Dennis Anderson and the Gravedigger had some more bad luck, but racing must go on here in Kalamazoo. It's USA 1, Rod Litsall, our fast qualifier. He gets a bye run in first-round competition, and then it's Dave Wyzorek and Nightlife taking on Playing for Keeps. Next, it's Clydesdale taking on Mad Dog, and then Scott Stevens and King Crunch up against John Kwasniewski and the Buffalo Trimmer. Then it's going to be Gary Porter and the Carolina Crusher taking on Gary Wiggins and Mopar Magic. The winner of that round will take on the Fast Loser. Bob Green's Wild Hair will be head-to-head against Jersey Outlaw, and then the Equalizer takes on No Problem right here on
Tuff Trax at the Kalamazoo County Fairgrounds, Kalamazoo, Michigan, with the superstars of monster truck racing on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. Scott Douglas, Army Armstrong, Chris Chapman, all with you here for side-by-side eliminations. Right now, we're getting going into first round, Army. I like this first matchup. They're maybe not the biggest names in monster truck races, but two of the most exciting competitors to watch. Two guys that land all on the line every time out. We're talking about Playing for Keeps, Jesse Berge, brand new local sponsorship with Auto Value right there with him, and Dave Wyzorek and the unheralded Nightlife.
Well, Dave Wyzorek has won one of the biggest events in America, that being the prestigious Houston Astrodome Bull, but when he came outdoors, he seemed to lose the combination. Meanwhile, Berge runs him a good race, but Wyzorek, with that patented head-out-the-window style, moves into the next round, and Berge has a lot of chassis problems on the Auto Value Special.
Boy, Nightlife, 5th in points. Last week, he scored a big upset over Carolina Crusher. Keep your eyes on the guy from Grand Island, Nebraska. Well, that was John Breed out of Jefferson City, Missouri. You just got a good look at. Breed in the Mad Dog. His opponent, Bennett Clark and Clydesdale from Powder Springs, Georgia. Mad Dog is 6th in the national points.
Well, Bennett Clark runs a 144-inch long wheelbase truck, the longest truck on the circuit. He's experimenting to see if that's the way to go. Now, this run looks awfully good for him as the Mad Dog not playing down the run that he wants down the left lane. However, Scott, neither truck really made a bonsai shot on that run.
Bennett Clark getting a win and moving to the second round.
Well, Bennett, before the race started, you told me you thought you had about an 85% chance of winning the thing. How do you feel now? What are your odds?
They're looking a little better. Mad Dog is a real fast truck. I knew I could get them. Just take them one at a time as they come tonight.
Next opening round matchup, there you see the computerized state-of-the-art King Crunch and Scott Stevens. King Crunch coming out to take on Buffalo Tremor. John Kwasniewski, Army calls him Johnny K. He's from near Buffalo, as you'd expect in the Buffalo Tremor. Lackawanna, New York.
Keep an eye on Scott Stevens. He'll be working the left lane. He's been around a long time. He's an attack driver. He drives with the Texas philosophy. Don't mess with Texas. Meanwhile, the kid out of New York comes out real good on the side, closer to the camera. He's in trouble. Stevens goes like a rocket. Whoa, we've got a problem
Look at that! Complete 360 pirouetted and landed back on his wheels. Unbelievable. Scott Stevens is King Crunch. We said it's state of the art, but I'm not sure that's part of the state of the art, being able to flip and land back right side up. But who knows what the damage to that truck is.
I'll tell you, Scott, when you see a TNT event, this is what you're going to see. It's no grins and giggles. It's full, all-out racing.
Wow. Scott Stevens annihilates King Crunch. There's sheet metal everywhere. The entire front end sheet metal is gone from the truck. You can see the back, the bed of the truck is now laying at a 45-degree angle to the ground. Lots of safety crew personnel in there to make sure Scott's okay. And that obviously is the first concern, but they're talking to Scott, and it looks like he's all right. So now, for the crew, they've got to see what kind of shape this truck's in.
I'll tell you, Scott, the truck looks a whole lot worse for wear. I'm kind of worried about Scott. Oh, good. He's coming out of the truck. He's coming out awfully slow. I tell you, he took a real wild ride there. Nosed in, flipped over. He's been around this game for a long time. He knows that's part of it. We're glad to see him moving around, but he really looks awfully rough to me right now. Here's a replay coming up on the screen. You notice nothing happened to him until the last run. The back wheels caught the last car and
up and over. Boy, you get it, Army. Once they did that, it was like a springboard, and he goes into a pirouette. If this was diving or gymnastics, it would have been a perfect 10. But this is monster truck racing. When we return, we'll talk to Scott Stevens and take another look at that race. Coming back to the aftermath of one of the most spectacular flips of the year on Tuff Trax. With a TNT Monster Truck Challenge in Kalamazoo, Michigan, Scott Stevens and King Crunch has pirouetted, flipped, and landed back on his wheels. Army Armstrong, Scott Stevens is no stranger to going over at Pueblo, Colorado. Here was a wild ride in July of 1987.
yeah, here's running against the stopper truck. Watch Stevens on the far side. The same kind of flip. He noses it over. Litsall goes to the right or the left. This guy, he just noses heavy.
We talked with Scott Stevens after his flip in Kalamazoo.
Scott Stevens, that had to be one of the most violent. You're hurting right now. We're going to just talk to you for a second. That had to be a violent ride for you. Do you have any idea what caused it?
I don't know. I think maybe I just missed the down ramp. I don't know. I thought I could pull it out right at the last. I gave it one last gap, and I just didn't want the motor to run when it was upside down.
What about you physically? Are you all right? You look like you're hurting.
No, when I knew it was gone, I just let go of the steering wheel in case something spun back real quick. I didn't want my hands to get hurt. And, it hurt a little more than last year, but I'm all right. I bounced around a little more.
Thanks for coming over and see us. We'll let you and Crash get back here. Thank you.
Scott Stevens and King Crunch, there's part of King Crunch. Several parts of it being taken back to his pit area right now. Man, oh man, did he destroy that truck. I think we're going to get a look at, boy, we're going to put this one right in your lap. Watch Scott Stevens on your right in King Crunch.
Watch what happens to the back end. Boing, see, it springs over. It noses him into the ground. Once he's over center, he's in trouble. He's just there for the ride. Now, the full roll cage stays intact. All the damage to the truck seems to be in the front end and the bed and a little bit of rear suspension problem.
Wow, what a spectacular moment in Kalamazoo. King Crunch gets the win, but is virtually annihilated in doing it. Our next matchup, first round action. We still got 4 first-round matchups. Mopar Magic to take on this man, currently second in the national points chase, Gary Porter, Carolina Crusher from Wadesboro, North Carolina. Mopar Magic is Gary Wiggins. Wiggins hails from Williamson, North Carolina. So the Carolina boys ready to do battle here on Tuff Trax.
Battle of the Tar Heels going to take place right now. Who's going to win it? I don't know. It's going to be a toss-up. Both good trucks. Porter's under a little bit of pressure in that Chevrolet that goes by the name of the Carolina Crusher because he is up in a points chase. This kid's under pressure, Scott, because he's already been on his head this year. It's a brand new Dodge truck. He's trying to get dialed back in. We're going to give it back to you for the call. It looks like Porter is dominating this round.
Gary Porter coming out of the hole with the advantage, and he takes the winning Carolina Crusher. Let's get on to Army with your winner, Gary Porter.
Now, Gary Porter, you had a unique seat for the accident that happened in front of you. What goes through your mind when you're sitting in the staging lanes knowing you're going to have to run on the same tracks as that accident?
Well, what first went through my mind was that can happen to me, and it made me really want to run a safe race.
It does bother you, though. You are aware of it.
Oh, I'm always aware of it, but once I pull to the line and stage, everything's out of my mind except the win.
Gary Porter and Carolina Crusher, one of the most consistent trucks on the tour today. Wild hair. Right there you get a good look at Bob Breen in the cockpit. His opponent, the Jersey Outlaw Ford, and Mike Wine.
Bob Breen, probably one of the strongest attack drivers in this circuit. I asked him where he developed that habit. He said he used to ride an old Harley motorcycle. You got to ride damn wild just like you drive your monster truck wild, and wild hair goes into that next round.
Bob Breen wins it. Here he is with Army.
Bob, an awful good runner. Looks like you're doing something different. A lot of people, you're not getting as much air. You're actually staying closer to the cars, and that's working for you.
Yeah, I'm trying to come out of the hole just as hard as it will, you know, spin them tires a little bit, but still get a good bite. And just as I hit the bottom of that ramp, I'm backing out my throttle just a little bit to keep me down low, and then I try to, after that, when it hits them cars, I'm hammering that baby.
Equalizer, no problem. That's who you're going to have in the next round. Any kind of preference?
For the next round, if I had a choice, I'd rather run Equalizer and just get him down out of the way.
Bob Breen's a guy, Army, I'll tell you. You know, he may not have the horsepower some of the trucks have, but you cannot sell him short on heart or on confidence.
No, and he's not afraid of anybody in this sport. When you go up against Breen, you better be ready to go. Speaking of ready to go, it's like a Tennessee State coming out right now.
The Tennessee State represented in both lanes. The Chevrolet of the national point leader, Equalizer, against the no-problem Ford Bronco. Out of the chute, Equalizer with the edge. David Morris hits the second set. He's going to beat John Moore and no problem.
Stop that left lane, give him a lot of problem. We're bouncing, they can't stop either.
Equalizer wins it. Army's going to catch up with David Morris.
Just a minute ago, we interviewed the man you're going to be going against, the driver of the Wild Hair. We asked him if he had a preference as to who he wanted to run. He wants you. He wants to knock you out of this national points chase in this next round, and he's got you. What are you going to do with him?
I'm going to beat him. I don't think he'll ever beat me. I'm a little bit leery running on this other side of the track now. There's something in the last set of cars that's kicking everybody's back end, trying to make it past the front end, so I'm going to run hard, though.
Well, you really see it on that replay from the end of the track, the bounce at the end of the run for David Morris, but he goes on to the next round. What is this? Is King Crunch going to try and come back after that terrible flip earlier? Let's get Army Armstrong to catch up with crew chief Kevin Crash Ford and find out what they're doing with King Crunch.
Kevin Ford, the crew chief on the King Crunch truck. Man, you got the right nickname, Crash. What happened out there? Do you have any idea?
Well, he told me just before he ran that there was a problem with the front steering. The batteries were going weak. So I don't know if it's when he came off the ramps, he just didn't have enough to turn it, or what he did. I told him to cut the fan off before he left to give him that little bit of juice, but I don't guess it helped.
What lies in store for you now? We're moving on to Milwaukee. What lies in store for you as a crew chief on this truck?
Well, I think we can get it back together tonight. We got a tie rod, and just front damage is no problem. I mean, we can leave it the way it is, and we just got a busted hydraulic line. So I think we can get back.
Okay, good luck. We'll let you get going. Thanks for coming over and talking to us.
All right, thank you.
That completes the first round of Monster Truck Racing on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. When we return, it's a hot time in Bowling Green, Ohio. The TNT All-American Pulling Series is coming your way on
Bowling Green, Ohio, where each year the biggest and the best come to compete in the National Tractor Pulling Championship, part of the TNT All-American Pulling Series. And what a class we have for you this week on Tuff Trax. The super modified two-wheel drives, 47 of them competed here in the National Championship. Army Armstrong, 15 of them made full pulls.
Well, 15 full pulls is kind of unique, but when you got this type of competition, like you say, 47 of them, all the big guns unloaded in Bowling Green. Now, we're looking at Art Hathaway now. He qualified for the pull-off. He will not be able to come back due to a magneto problem. A lot of people that are new to the sport, you've got to remember that what the sport is all about is pulling that sled past the 300-foot mark. Hathaway was one of 15 trucks that did it. They're going to tighten the sled up, add more weight to it. We'll be back with pulling action in just a minute.
First, though, we're going to take a look at some of the trucks that didn't make the pull-off. Hare and Jack Daniels missing the pull-off by just 1 inch. And let me tell you, friends, Mark Hare is very unhappy about the decision. Army Armstrong talks to Mark Hare, the driver of Jack Daniels, about the run.
Sorry we got to do an interview at this time, but this is what it's all about. 299.11 is the word we get on a 300-foot track.
Well, Army, a little disappointed, a lot disappointed. Jack Daniels' truck capable of getting out with the others, but I really think that the guys are really messing up because they watering that track to keep the trucks down from going out.
Okay, water in the track, a lot of moisture. The later we get tonight, the more moisture we have from nature, plus they're putting the water in the track. The water's coming up the bottom. I understand the moisture part of it. What about the number of trucks in the field? 48 trucks is awesome. And if you draw late like you did, son, it's an uphill battle.
Yeah, Army, but I know how this track is. I've been here for 11 years. You just don't see guys like Jim Brockman, Lyons, make pretty good runs 10, 20, 30 feet short of the end. You know, it's just, I just think that it's kind of wrong.
Army, what the problem is, as Mark sees it, is there's a tractor that comes down and is spraying a fine water mist on the track, but Mark's saying they didn't do it for everybody.
Well, and we've been watching, and they have been doing it consistently. I think what it is now the moisture they're putting into the track is really used to hold the dust down. As we watch Wayne Rouse make the first run in the pull-off, it's actually getting the track a little bit slippery.
You know, a big part of the problem has to be, 47 vehicles. Daggone, you got to try and keep a track consistent. You know how tough that is to do with 12 or 15. Here in Bowling Green, they're trying to give it their best shot, but obviously Mark very unhappy with it. For him, a very bad break. He just missed the pull-off. You saw the distance for Wayne Rouse as the pull-off begins in the yellow Model T. 269.78. So that's what they're now going to try and beat. This is LD Nation and Boot Hill Delivery.
Beautiful 34 Ford sedan delivery. We're in Ohio. It's big street riding country, and this is a popular truck. This guy's laying down a real good run. Starts to muscle, really making a lot of horsepower. Had to go on the other side of a 269, Scott.
269.78. He did it. 281. You see it on your screen. 281.35 is the distance for LD Nation from Pleasanton, Kansas, and Boot Hill Delivery. There is your new leader, and here comes the national point leader, Ray Carpenter and Sundance Kid.
That run by LD is going to be tough to beat. If anybody can get by him, it might be Carpenter. He's put some good wins under his belt this year. He's new to this particular class, but he's definitely a player. Just a moment ago, we noticed some of the drivers spotting the sleds. Skid Lamont was talking to Mike Snow. They're trying to still figure the track out in Bowling Green. Has the Sundance Kid figured it out? We're going to find out right now. They're leaving the start line awfully slow. Right about the 50-foot mark. Then they come on the horsepower. Not going to work for the Sundance Kid. Scott Douglas.
Ray Carpenter, Bensdorf, Iowa, comes up well short. His actual distance, 260.10. Army's going to talk with the national point leader.
Ray, you're the points leader coming in. What is this going to do to your championship hopes?
Well, it's kind of hard to say. I haven't really had a chance to study this. The track's been changed around a little bit tonight, and I don't think it's going to hurt us too bad. There's a few more hooks left, and hopefully we can get it back together. Made a few boo-boos there. Didn't especially care about, but, the old saying in bowling, anything can happen, and generally does.
Scott Stevens continues to work on King Crunch in Kalamazoo after that vicious slip earlier. We'll see if he can return for more monster truck racing right here on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge.
Back on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge with Tuff Trax. In Kalamazoo, Michigan, we're ready for the quarterfinal round. But let's kind of take a look at where we're at on the TNT Monster Truck season, checking the national points. Now, David Morris's Equalizer still on top. He took the lead a week ago and has a 12-point edge over Gary Porter in the Carolina Crusher. There's Rod Litsall, who has moved now into a strong third position in USA 1 as he continues to win. Gravedigger, Dennis Anderson, despite the breakage, a solid fourth. Nightlife rounding out the top five. Then looking at the second five, Mad Dog, currently sixth in the national standings. No problem with John Moore seventh. The retired Awesome Kong is eighth. Stomper and Wildhair tied for the ninth spot. Here's Chris Chapman with the quarterfinal round pairings.
Thanks, guys. Here's what the pairings look like going into quarterfinal round action. it will be defending national champion Rod Litsall and USA 1, who has a bye run, facing Dave Weisdorf and the Nightlife. Nightlife knocked off playing for keeps in first-round competition. Next, it will be Bennett Clark and Clydesdale, who knocked off Mad Dog in first-round competition, taking on King Crunch and Scott Stevens, who slipped by Buffalo Trimmer. Our next pairing places our fast loser from first-round competition, John Moore and Ford Bronco No Problem versus Carolina Crusher and Gary Porter. Rounding it out, it's going to be Bob Green's Wild Hair, who slipped by Jersey Outlaw earlier in the evening, taking on David Morris and the Equalizer. Let's go now to Scott Douglas and Army Armstrong.
Thanks, Chris. We're ready now to go side by side in the round of 8, the quarterfinals. And there he is, Rod Litsall, the cocky, confident one, the defending national champ against the consistent Dave Weisdorf and Nightlife. USA 1 Army and gets the early edge.
Well, Litsall pulls a whole shot. Look at this, attacking the right side. Looking super strong. I cannot believe how quick that 15,000-pound monster truck can move, Scott.
Wow, Rod Litsall, USA 1, putting on a show in front of another packed house in Kalamazoo. Here they come right into your living room. You can see Litsall got a great shot and hits the car solid.
You know, Scott, a lot of people think these drivers just hold on and drive straight. They are working like crazy up in that truck.
Here's Carolina Crusher again. Gary Porter, second in national points. This is a critical race for him. He needs to continue to advance and try and gain points on David Morris and Equalizer. The opposition will be tough. It's the Ford Bronco. No problem in John Moore.
Porter's coming off what looks like to be developing as a good lane. John Moore runs him a good race in the 4 on the other side. Porter goes to the next round with the Carolina Crusher. Whoa, and they almost get together down here.
He gets their stop, though. Your winner, Gary Porter of Carolina Crusher. Here he is with Army Armstrong.
Well, Gary, there's a real strong possibility your dream may come true. You've got a real good chance to get the Equalizer in that next round and get back on that national championship points lead.
I hope I do the next round. If he wins this round, me and him will pair up, you know, the first and second leaders in the points. And there's nothing more I want than to beat him tonight.
Certainly, that's an opportunity he may get, Army. That win setting him up a chance to maybe go up against Equalizer.
Scott, as we watch the replay, I want you to watch Gary Porter inside the truck. Notice how he gets slapped around. These drivers are really getting abused up here. And again, it shows how close they get on the end of that track.
Well, as you mentioned, they feel like it's a rough track, and they're really battling it here at Kalamazoo, Michigan. All right, David Morris brings out the Equalizer against Bob Breed's Wild Hair. Breed wanted him. Breed's got him.
Breed wanted him. Breed's got him, but Morris did not want anything to do with that left lane. In an earlier interview, he said that left lane was going to give people problems. He goes over to the right and pays dividends. He'll be going to the next round. Meanwhile, Breed had the bad lane and had all kind of problems with it. He will not be back.
Of all the guys who have gotten good speed on this track, he was able to stay lower than most, and that could be critical later on.
Yeah, staying low means you get back on the cars, you can put the horsepower back on the track, but you can see both drivers are really taking a beating. I don't know why this track is so tough tonight.
So the victory to Equalizer, he'll beat Carolina Crusher in the semifinal round. But here is the story so far in Kalamazoo. You see him moving. He is going to come out as they cheer wildly in Kalamazoo, Michigan, after his wild flip earlier. King Crunch, what's left of him, is ready to race.
Scott, this is what motion pictures are made of. The people are on their feet. They are pumped up. Scott Stevens out of Texas. He's ready to go. He told us earlier, he said, this is what the sport's coming to. Just like sprint car racing. You roll one, you throw the old body away, you put the new body on, you go back in the lanes, and that's exactly where King Crunch is right now. Who's he going to be going up against?
He's going to take on Clydesdale. Bennett Clark out of Powder Springs, Georgia. Army, is this dangerous? He's got no front end weight now.
No, the front end of the truck was a fiberglass piece, so the weight is only about 15 or 20 pounds difference is all. What I'm worried about is the handling characteristics. Scott Stevens, he's ready to ride him. Cowboy out of Texas and see what he's going to do. Look at this, a beautiful run for the Texans.
He's going to win the race. Unbelievable. Scott Stevens has come back from the flip as they go bananas in Kalamazoo. He did it. He beats Clydesdale. King Crunch wins with what's left of the truck. I'm going to tell you, we have seen comebacks, we have seen awesome stories in monster truck racing, but you're going to be hard-pressed to beat this one. He flips the truck and comes right back the same night to win his next race. Army Armstrong's working his way over to talk to one tough Texan, Scott Stevens of King Crunch.
I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, this is one interview I didn't think we'd be making tonight in the very next round. How in the world did you get that truck back together?
Really, the truck wasn't hurt that bad, Army. Broke a tie rod on the back. Really wasn't no problem to fix that. Hydraulic line at the front had a little kink in it. this truck's made for racing, you know, and you got to kind of be like the World of Outlaw sprint cars, you know. Long nights, you got to be ready to put your truck back together. There's a lot of races, and, you know, the future's going to be trucks like this that you can roll over and throw the body away and come back for the next round.
What about the driver? We talked about the truck, but I can tell I've known you a long time, and you're hurting right now.
Well, when I flipped, it broke the seat. So the bar that usually is spreading all the weight over my whole back's poking in just like a knife right now. But, you know, that's all right. I'm not worried. As long as the truck's not hurting, you know, we're still feeling good. And, you know, the fans didn't come on, so it got a little hot then, but the truck didn't get hurt a bit.
Don't you dare go away. More pulling action is right around the corner on Tuff Trax.
Back on Tuff Trax, the TNT All-American Pulling Series at Bowling Green, Ohio. 15 out of 47 two-wheel drive trucks have made it to the pull-off. And Army Armstrong, here comes one of the best known, one of the best in the sport, one of the class guys in any form of sports today, Ken Lamont in the Plano Toolbox's Midnight Express.
Well, Ken Lamont can really help his national championship point chase right here. The reason being, the fellow in front of him, Carpenter, not going to be in the pull-off. Lamont can really pull in some points on him if he can read the track. That's the story tonight. It's kind of greasy for about the first 50 feet. He rolls the Plano Toolbox Midnight Express out. Have some good ground speed going, Scott. He's looking awfully tough right now in Bowling Green.
But it looks like, yes indeed, he's going to fall a little short at 281. The official distance is 275.42. A strong run right now, good enough for second, but not good enough to take the lead here at Bowling Green. So still on top is LD Nation and Boot Hill Delivery from Pleasanton, Kansas. Well, we mentioned Boot Hill Delivery and LD Nation because here comes his son, Brent Nation and Sundowner.
You know, Scott, it's kind of interesting. We don't have an opportunity to see LD and his son that much on the Redman circuit with us. They're really strong pullers. We're glad to have them with us at Bowling Green. That's one thing about Bowling Green. Everybody that's anybody in this sport comes for this event. The kid's going after Dad. Let's see what's going to happen. Father in the lead with an Aries-powered 34 Ford sedan delivery. The kid's going after him in a 23 Ford. Oh, we've got look at this, a great run going.
Son's going to take the lead from Dad. Brent Nation at 284.11, your new leader.
Brent, you bounced to the number one spot in a super tough field of two-wheel drive. Your dad's set number two. What's the secret?
I don't know. I think we just had everything right that time, and the motor run good, and we got a good shot out of the hole, and it just worked.
Is that going to be good enough to win this thing?
I don't know. I think it'll be a pretty tough run to beat.
We're going to find out right now because there's a guy who can knock him off. You think this is the man. Defending national champion Mike Stowe and the Bad Dog Ford from Warrenton, Georgia.
We talked a moment ago when Ken Lamont came out about how this event is important in a point chase. Well, Stowe's right in the middle of that point chase, chasing a red man big money at the end of the year. He's got the new sponsor, the M30 hand cleaner people. Would love to put a win under his belt for the Ford camp. The pressure is on Stowe out of Warrenton, Georgia right now, Scott. A good leave on the starting line. Up on the RPM, ground speed, starts to bounce on him. That's going to hurt.
He's not going to get there. Mike Stowe looks like he's going to fall well short. The official distance will be 266.06. That means the father-son combination, the nation's finished 1-2.
Okay, we're going to start this off by saying, LD, you got to be awful proud of your kid tonight.
Well, it couldn't be better. I'd like to win, but if my son wins and I get second, that's just the way I want it to be.
Especially in a field like this, it was tough out there, wasn't it?
Yeah, when you go out there with 47 trucks, it's the best in the United States. It makes you feel so good. It's just, there's no words for it.
We're going to bounce over and talk to the kid right now. Young man, this has got to be the biggest win in your young career.
Yeah, so far it is. It's been the biggest class I've ever won, 47 trucks.
Oh, what a night for the Nation family. First and second in the National Tractor Pulling Championship here in Bowling Green, Ohio. And rounding out the top three, it's the Midnight Express with a pull of 275.42. Don't touch that dial because when we return, two trucks who are no strangers to getting crunched, Scott Stevens and King Crunch, and USA 1 Rod Litsall, they'll race in Kalamazoo right here on Tuff Trax.
With the TNT Monster Truck Challenge here on Tuff Trax. I'm Scott Douglas with Army Armstrong, and our colleague Chris Chapman is standing by to set up the Final Four, the semifinal round.
Taking a look look at the semifinal matchups, it couldn't get more exciting than this. USA 1, who flipped here at Kalamazoo last week, is going to be facing King Crunch, who flipped here tonight. And if that doesn't have your attention, look at this next matchup. It's numbers 1 and 2 in the national points race. Gary Porter and the Carolina Crusher taking on David Morris and the Equalizer. Let's go now to Scott and Army for a call of these races.
There are some outstanding rivalries in this sport. Army, I think this is the budding rivalry, the rivalry that'll probably carry into the 90s. The computerized state-of-the-art King Crunch and Rod Litsall, USA 1.
One thing that I'm watching, Scott, is the crowd. They're kind of split. USA 1 definitely a favorite, but everybody's kind of pulling for this King Crunch truck because of what he's been through tonight. Can it be a Cinderella story for King Crunch? USA 1's got anything to do with it? Nah, his story stops now. They both leave side by side. King Crunch came out a little bit. USA 1 a little bit smoother. It's going to advance. Litsall flexing his muscle on that Chevrolet.
All out all the time and no mercy. Rod Litsall takes the victory over a very gallant, a very valiant Scott Stevens and King Crunch. But once again, in the Monster Smash final, it'll be Rod Litsall and the USA 1 Chevrolet.
Oh, yeah. I'm out to, take number 1 here. By looking at their times, just the times I've been running, when I back off, I got faster times than what those guys are running, so I'm pretty confident I can take it tonight.
Never at a loss for confidence. Rod Litsall, USA 1, gets the victory over a very impressive Scott Stevens, who gave it all he had tonight in Kalamazoo.
Ladies and gentlemen, they pay big bucks in Hollywood, California for motion picture writers to come up with stories better than this. Scott Stevens, you made 1 million fans in Kalamazoo, Michigan. All I can say is hats off to you and a job well done.
Yeah, Army, we built this truck for racing, and we could have done a little better. The battery got busted when I flipped, and I didn't have no steering in this last race, and I thought if the truck went straight, we might do something, but, I didn't want to get it muddy. We've already tore up every piece on the truck, but, we still got a lot more races to go, and now I'm really, I hate wrecking the truck, but, you feel more confident of the roll cage now, so, we're ready to go.
We'll see you next week in Milwaukee.
Thank you, Army.
Scott Stevens, certainly one of the stories this week on Tuff Trax. But he'll not be in the final. One of these two trucks will. Carolina Crusher and Equalizer. Not only will one of them go to the final, one of them's going to take a big step in the points battle. Because coming into this race, Equalizer leads Carolina Crusher. Last week, Crusher had the lead, but was upset here by Dave Westork and Nightlife. That cost Carolina Crusher the national point lead. Coming into tonight, David Morris and Equalizer is on top. He'll need to beat Crusher here. We told David Morris that Carolina Crusher wants it badly.
Yeah, he'd like to beat me bad here, but I'm going to do everything I can to keep him out of it, so I'm going to be running hard.
Simply put, by the soft-spoken fella from Tennessee, he likes to let his stuff on the track do his talking.
Scott, I'm looking for a war right here. Number 1 and number 2 international points chase. It's going to be a Donnybrook. There it goes. The light turns green. They're all side by side. Morris noses out in that right lane. Can the Crusher come back? No way. Boy, this kid out of Tennessee is trying.
And he flat beat him bad. No question about it. Equalizer dominated Crusher on that run. Let's look at it again, Army, coming right at you.
They left side by side, but it seemed like the Equalizer just dominant truck in this round.
Once again, great ground speed, stayed very straight, low to the cars, and David Morris out of Springfield, Tennessee, and the Equalizer comes away with the victory. Equalizer owner Gary Cook taking a long, hard look at his truck right now. Army Armstrong's working his way over to get a word from Cook to see exactly what the status of the Equalizer is.
Gary Cook, do you have any idea what the problem is? The word we get is you may not be in that final.
Well, I think it's such a fast track. I think we overwound the motor and probably either bent a valve or dropped a valve. This track is real fast, and we may have just geared a little bit too low for this particular track.
If you did, in fact, bend a valve or break a valve, are you going to bring it back and try to go for the points?
We'll just about have to.
When we return, it's the final race here at the Kalamazoo County Fairgrounds. We call it the Monster Smash, and it'll be USA 1 taking on Equalizer right here on...
The incredible action in Kalamazoo, Michigan is about to hit its climax. The Monster Smash, the championship. Rod Litsall, USA 1, to do battle with David Morris and the Equalizer. It's the same two that went front all a week ago. The victory to Litsall. And remember once again the exclamation point from Rod Litsall. Up, up, and over. He flipped her, but he flipped her victoriously. USA 1 wants another win and would like to keep it on all four wheels this time around. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Monster Smash. Once again, USA 1 and Equalizer.
No race at all. The Equalizer came to the line just for the point. Gary Cook told us a moment ago they had hurt the engine. Tough break for the Equalizer, but he will get points for making that round.
USA 1 does it again. Make it 2 for 2 in Kalamazoo. Rod Litsall, USA 1, getting the victory in Kalamazoo, Michigan, as he continues to try and come from behind and pull off a second straight national championship on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. But David Morrison Equalizer, by making the run, will pick up the valuable points and no doubt stay in front in the national point chase. It's been a great Tuff Trax edition in Kalamazoo. Your winner, Rod Litsall. Let's go to Army with tonight's champion.
Well, I believe Rod Litsall and the USA 1 crew showed the rookie a thing or two tonight.
Well, you know, I didn't think how far we were going to go, but that's, you know, we're thinking positive. We're going, taking every race one at a time. We're out here to win, and we pulled it off. You know, I surprised pulling it off. We only ran with 3 wheels all night. But, you know, that's what we are. We're number 1, and we're going to stay number 1.
You guys have one word that is not in your vocabulary. That's the word quit.
Yeah, you're right. We don't ever want to quit. We always come out, we play our hardest, we charge it all the time. That's our main goal.
Rod Litsall owns Kalamazoo here on Tuff Trax. Make it 2 for 2 in action at Kalamazoo, Michigan at the County Fairgrounds. Let's look at tonight's Monster Smash one more time. It's Litsall getting the great jump. Knowing that Equalizer's broken, he's able to slow it down from the second set. But what if Equalizer would have been full throttle? You saw that little bobble on USA 1, the True Value sponsored Chevrolet. It might have been a different story. We'll worry about might have been later. Here's Chris Chapman with the points after today's action.
David Morris and the Equalizer have expanded their lead here in the TNT All-American Monster Truck Challenge points race. He is in the lead with 563. He's followed closely by Gary Porter in the Carolina Crusher. And then it's USA 1, followed by Gravediggers, Dennis Anderson, and then rounding out the top 5 is Dave Weisorick and the Nightlife. The second half of the top 10 looks like this. Mad Dog and John Breen out of Jefferson City, Missouri are in number 6 position, followed closely by John Moore and his Ford Bronco, No Problem. The retired Awesome Kong is in 8th spot, followed by Wild Hair and then Clydesdale. Let's go now to Scott and Army and find out what's coming up in the weeks ahead right here on Tuff Trax.
Army, you know it's going to continue to be awesome action next week to the Milwaukee Mile, a super fast track. Is it going to be 3 in a row for USA 1?
You talk about a historic place to race. USA 1 loves this kind of track. 80-mile-an-hour gear is what he's going to be running next week on the world-famous Milwaukee Mile. It should be great.
Making his assault on Equalizer and Carolina Crusher. We'll see if USA 1 can win again next week at the Milwaukee Mile, a super fast track designed for incredible monster truck action. The silver flag will again be flying on the back of the True Value sponsored USA 1. And in pulling action, we'll be going to Bowling Green for modified 4-wheel drive trucks, just like Roger Crawford's Bandit Ford.
Scott, this has to be one of the most popular classes in the sport. The Mountain Motor Modifieds will be playing war in Bowling Green, Ohio next week, and we're going to be there.
And you be here, too, for the best in action on Tuff Trax. 1 week from today, get ready. The best of the monsters, the best of the pullers, the superstars of motorsports, right here on Tuff Trax. I'm Scott Douglas for Army Armstrong and Chris Chapman. Don't miss us next week here on Tuff Trax.